I'd say the F1 season started with a bang, but then I'd be lying.
Very false. Very false.
True.
Hopefully round 2 can be a little bit better as we head to Saudi Arabia and the Jeddah Corniche Circuit, a track that so far has hosted championship fights, cars being torn apart, DRS chicken, and of course the local missile testing. I know the current racing could do with a bit more action, but that's not quite what we had in mind. Hey guys, it's Taran and welcome to the On Track channel, and without any further ado, let's get into the video and my ultimate review of Formula 1 and the 2024 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. So with just a few days between races, you'd be forgiven for thinking not much would happen. You'd also be very wrong, as over at Red Bull, and it appears civil war has broken out.
Spidey senses tell me this is gonna get fucking tasty!
On one side, you have Christian Horner, and then on the other, you have literally everyone else.
Noah!
Larry, what the hell are you doing?
Larry!
Larry, you can't just...
Oh, Larry! Oh!
All of this over the alleged misconduct between one of the Red Bull staff and Christian Horner. One of the Red Bull staff and Christian Horner. That's all I'll say on that for now, because it's a topic that continues to develop and change every single day. But it has sparked some conversation surrounding Max Verstappen, with the rumour being that because of all the drama within the team, he could leave Red Bull and join George Russell at Mercedes.
What?
No, I'm not joking, this is a genuine story. With apparently the fact Max won't back Christian publicly as supposedly requested by the FIA president being linked into the next story, that Mohammed Ben Sulayem is now under investigation for allegedly trying to influence a race. I swear, this sport is in the mud, honestly. I'm gonna have to start taking up golf or something at this rate. The only thing more controversial than F1 right now is F1 back in 2021. Like for real, if there's one more controversial thing, I'm done. But anyways, that's all for now. Thank you very much for watching. For real though, in Saudi Arabia, and they announced plans for a brand new track to host the F1 race, because apparently building one completely new one already just wasn't enough. With a new venue sent to be in Jeddah, and not gonna lie, these images make it look like a real life rainbow road. Just don't go taking any rainbow flags there though. The track features a 20-story high turn 1, not as in up a hill or anything, but a purpose-built ramp to launch F1 cars into the stratosphere. Now I'm not saying that that's actually going to happen, but then again, Mark Webber did once manage to do this with an F1 car. And then finally, to round out the news, Alpine is still absolute trash, with the team looking to compete with Red Bull, not on the track obviously, but in terms of whose organisation is more of a shambles, as a number of the team's senior personnel had resigned just after the first race, because well, the team is a mess. Into practice, and Lance Stroll wasted no time to showcase his talent, as he clipped the inside wall at turn 21 but was lucky enough to get away with it and continued driving the car, which funnily enough is the story of his F1 career so far. Not lucky enough though, later in FP3 was Logan Sargent, as he did the same thing but broke the front suspension, ending his session early. And for Logan during practice, it wasn't just the walls getting in his way, as while on a hot lap he found a slow moving Lewis Hamilton in the middle of the road. Oh no, apparently that was just a normal moving Hamilton. Not wanting to miss out on some fun, and the Ferraris were also getting involved, as once again it was Logan getting blocked off, this time early in the day in FP1. At which point the track decided that if Logan couldn't stick up for himself, it would do it for him, exacting revenge on Ferrari by getting a plastic bag stuck in Charles Leclerc's car, which as it turned out, still wasn't the most unexpected thing to find itself in a Ferrari this weekend. And before FP3 we had the news that Carlos Sainz was ill and would take no further part in practice, qualifying or the race. The diagnosis? Appendicitis.
Wow, if I had a nickel for every time I was doomed by a puppet, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right?
Thus making it 2-0 to Team Appendicitis up against the current grid of F1 drivers. This obviously meant someone would need to replace the Spaniard, with the choice being 18-year-old F2 driver and Ferrari reserve Oliver Bearman.
You have been promoted. You are now one of my elite employees.
With all the drivers having interesting reactions to Ollie joining the grid.
What the fuck is that?
It's a baby.
I know it's a fucking baby, what's it doing here?
And Crofty in the comms box also taking the opportunity to fit in as many bear puns as was humanly possible.
Not another one?
If I hear Crofty make one more bear pun, I'ma lose it. Honestly, I can't stand this anymore. But rounding out practice late on in FP3, it was Zhou Guanyu, who earned himself the award for first relatively big crash of the year out of turn 7. To be fair, while not ideal, it does at least get Sauber some screen time for something other than the livery. Into qualifying now, and in terms of the drop zone, it was pretty straightforward, as Logan Sargent and friends were eliminated. No surprises from the Williams there. In terms of friends, it was Logan's new ones for this year, as Gasly and Ocon were both out, joined by Mullet Man Valtteri. On the other side of the Sauber garage, and the team were scrambling to fix Joe's car. They did, and they managed to get him back out on track, just not quite over the line in time. Into the second part of qualifying, and after making it into Q2, the Haas of Nico Hülkenberg had just had enough, losing power during his first run and having to pull over to the side of the road, where he waited for a yellow flag to get out of the car. And he waited, and waited, and still waited, until finally, red flag. Getting back into it, and with Ricciardo, Magnussen and Albon also eliminated from Q2, eyes were on Oliver Bearman, last across the line and missing out on Q3 by just over 0.03 of a second. And had he made it through, the driver that would have been eliminated was Lewis Hamilton. Can you imagine the scenes if an 18-year-old rookie driver in a Ferrari had outqualified Lewis Hamilton? On to Q3 then, and we'll get the obvious out of the way. Max Verstappen was on pole and pretty untouchable. In behind though, it was pretty close, as Leclerc managed to split the Red Bulls, with Fernando Alonso slotting in just behind in 4th, all three of them separated by just about half a tenth, with the two McLarens in 5th and 6th, and the two Mercedes in 7th and 8th. Oh, and Lance Stroll had made it through to Q3. Just thought I'd mention that, because you never really know when it's going to happen again. On to lights out, and it was a good start for not one but two Red Bulls, as Max Verstappen held the lead and Sergio Perez got alongside Leclerc, with the pair side by side out of the first turns, but Charles managing to stay ahead with the inside line. Behind them, and after surviving the opening corners, eyes were on Oliver Bearman, as he took a look down the inside of Tsunoda with not quite enough to get by. However, the battle wasn't quite done there, as starting lap 2 the rookie was taking a look again down the inside, but not managing to get the move done. Elsewhere, and there was action over an Alpine for Pierre Gasly. Oh, no, they were just retiring the car at the end of lap 1. Probably for the best, really. Talking of Alpine, or more specifically drivers that rejected Alpine, as we had a battle between Oscar Piastri and Fernando Alonso, with the McLaren making its way by the Aston Martin and up into 4th place. Up at the front, and there was movement for the Red Bulls as well, as Sergio Perez made a move down the inside of Leclerc to make it a Red Bull 1-2. And so after 14 laps before that 1-2 in Bahrain, we were down to just 4 in Saudi Arabia. At this point, things were pretty quiet, for about 3 laps, as Lance Stroll decided to once again showcase his talent. And if you're wondering why I used exactly the same line as I did earlier in practice, well, that's because he made exactly the same mistake he made in practice.
You wanna see me do it again?
Clipping the inside wall at turn 21, but instead of getting away with it, slammed into the barriers and was out of the race. This of course brought the safety car out onto the track, and therefore brought nearly everyone into the pits, with all except Hamilton, Norris, Hülkenberg and Joe being called in. One of those that did come in was Sergio Perez. The pit crew just didn't do the best job when it came to sending him back out again, as apparently Fernando Alonso just doesn't exist in the eyes of Red Bull, with Checo released right into his path, which was a pretty slam dunk 5-second penalty. Not that it mattered, because Red Bull has infinite more pace than everyone else. Restart time now, and we're back to following the progress of Oliver Bearman, who immediately at the restart went down the inside of Tsunoda at turn 1, up to P11. Not done there, and the next car up the road was Zhou Guanyu in his Sauber, with the 18-year-old pulling off another overtake down towards turn 1, putting him up into the points this time. Thought we were done with Bearman overtakes? Not quite yet, as one more car up the road was Nico Hülkenberg, with the rookie seemingly getting a hang of what team radio is like in Formula 1. I mean, yes, Ollie, that is a Haas car, but eventually he was through, once again on the main straight and now up into P9. Sticking with the theme of Haas cars not having the best day, and it was Kevin Magnussen's turn, as he initially decided that Alex Albon needed to make an acquaintance with the turn 4 wall, for which he got a 10-second penalty. And following this, K-Mag had a battle with Tsunoda, but decided that overtaking can be done while off the track, having completely outbraked yourself, for which he received another 10-second penalty. Kevin clearly doing his best impression of Esteban Ocon from Bahrain last year. Following this, K-Mag decided that his talents were best used away from F1, and instead as a train driver, in front of Tsunoda, Ocon, Albon, Sargent, Ricciardo and Bottas. To be fair, he did a real good job of driving that train, defending his position for all that he was worth and fending off Yuki down at turn 1. And given that his race had been derailed by penalties, there was actually a reason for all this, as he held up those 6 cars in order to build a gap for his teammate Hülkenberg, who could pit and come out still in P10. Back up towards the front, and we had a smaller 1-passenger train that had lasted all 20 laps since the safety car restart. as Lewis Hamilton had held off Oscar Piastri in his McLaren lap after lap after lap. And after 20 times round the track, biding his time and being patient, Oscar finally got by. He then immediately locked up into turn 1, didn't make the corner, and had to give the place back. However, Hamilton did eventually pit, and Norris ended up doing the same thing as well, the pair coming out almost together on track and both chasing down Bearman, who was now in P7. But neither of them could catch him, meaning on debut, it was points for Ollie. Further up at the front though, and for Max Verstappen, it was never in doubt as he took win number 2 on the year, though only by 8 seconds this time, so to be honest, bit of a disappointing race for him really. Anyways, that's all for now. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. If you have, do make sure to give the video a thumbs up and get yourself subscribed for so much more content this year. But until next time, take care.